Pretty much right. Oh, we were talking about the other one. So Bill and I like that.
All right.
They were perfect spot, and asked me, for the guys over there around off the property looking for shrubs, I said, no. I'm not just much in the market. Not much, so much. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that the second book? Oh, okay. Inflation.
We'll call the meeting to order. Normally have a secretary call the roll, since we have a new person who's taking that position. To introduce you all to DG, she has that new position, something take care of in 5 minutes. So she can find out who we are, I thought I just had to introduce ourselves. Start with me, I'm Keith Campbell, the chairperson.
I'm Steve Eisenbrown.
Bill Gallagher. Okay.
Jim Steele Smith. Kyle Ferris.
That's it.
I have signed a table.
So we got the roll call done. I need a motion to approve the agenda with flexibility.
I so move.
Second,
I second the motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Did we have minutes from the last meeting for you to pass out this?
No, not yet. I'm still catching up on, yeah.
So we will forego the minutes, table those for next meeting. There's nothing important on it, anyway. There's no hearing and no one present or anything like that. So. Ken, we have any new applications or new occupations?
Nothing right now. No new business coming your way.
On the gentleman that has the woodworking shop on 605. Did he actually pay when he was going to do it and then backed off because of his health?
No, he's not.
He did not
He's not
pay.
paid yet.
You have to complete an application.
Okay, I didn't know if we were holding the check. I think he backed it was.
Yeah.
Phone call wouldn't hurt. Give me 4 or 5 trays in front of the right.
Yeah.
So next up is report from the zoning director.
Oh, we ain't really that far down. All right.
We're high.
Yeah, well, so far for this month, we're at 64 permits as opposed to the last 3 years in a row, we were at 67 in this month. Yeah, I don't think you guys need to break down. We're looking at open enforcements with the Harlem Road enforcement, it's to Corey, and actually they're cleaning up their property a little bit. So Corey and I talked about that today. We're gonna give them a little time to see if they get it all cleaned up, but they've made big improvements on it.
Is that the one across from the church?
Yes, you notice they're cleaning that up?
A little bit.
So we're gonna give them a little time, see if they get that cleaned on up before Corey goes ahead and files with the court. He's getting ready to file something on the 605. He wants to talk to his boss. And he talked today about trying to get some information to him about what he's got going on.
Yeah.
The Lewis Road property, as I said before, I'm still waiting on pictures from that resident, the neighbor. I don't know if they're gonna get me anything or not. Coven Drive, I resent some letters to them because their cleanup is slowing down. Green Cook's coming off after they lose their last, they got one little doodle bug, they call it out there. It's, you guys probably know what that is, but it's just last piece of, farm equipment they need to get rid of, and then they're cleaned up. The dump truck property, they've been kind of giving Corey the runaround, kept saying they get something done. And it was coming to him, Corey finally pinned it down today and said, hey, I'm gonna file come Wednesday if I hear from you guys, because I've not got we're supposed to give Corey some kind of, an idea that the resident had, because the resident said he didn't want to go to court on it, but they had a plan. They're supposed to get to Corey, but they didn't. So Corey is now to the point where he said, look, come Wednesday, I'm filing, and they said, give me 24 hours. So we'll see what happens by Wednesday, Corey said, on that one. Hatch Road, still no owner on Hatch Road property, checked Corey on that today, still in probate. And then, that really is it. I mean, I haven't heard anything about a distillery, I'm sorry. Haven't heard anything about a distillery. Nothing on the ice skating rink that was around for a while. And then we just talked about the woodworking on 605. I'll go ahead and stop by there next time I go by his house, see what he's got going on, check on, see what's going on with that.
Can I ask, the dump truck one, is there did you give them a suggested remediation?
Yes, I did. I had him in here when we first had brought that issue up. They came in, him and his nephew, we sat in there for like an hour and a half talking about its possibility. And when he left, I was under the impression he was gonna come to you guys. And then he didn't show up. And then he quit communicating with me.
So if it does come to us, I don't know if something we can do for him.
I think that there is. And I think
He needs to rezone.
yeah, he went to, that's why he went to and got a lawyer. Because he was asking me, he goes, well, what do you think? What can I do? I said, I don't see anything. I said, I can't tell you what the BZA is gonna do, because they're their own entity, but I said, you probably maybe talk to a lawyer about some, a residential lawyer that knows a little bit about this. I don't know.
Well, it's not as simple as it's bad.
I don't believe
Well,
so.
I mean, I see what was going on. I was just.
Because I just don't, in my opinion, when I'm looking at it, I just don't see how that fits in that residential area. I don't see any way, and I think probably everybody else is seeing that too. So,
Well, and they do not live on the property.
yes,
Well, we have our fair share of property and people decided to turn into junk, car junkyards.
we did.
So that's,
We did and we did.
everything we do. Good.
That would be my question.
And the fine line Corey's trying to walk, is we were talking today, and I told him, he said, if they're gonna clean up, he goes, that costs a lot of money to go ahead and file these complaints with the court, and then it sits in the court, and then he gives them a time limit. So the lawyers if they're able to push it back, it gives them more and more time. So he's trying to kind of walk that fine line as we've given him time to clean up. And finally take the stance for, okay, we're going to court, it's gonna be a year out, and now they've got a year to mess around. Because he's trying to get them either cleaned up, or when he's ultimately to try to get cleaned up, we got to take court, but he's just trying to walk that fine line. We're gonna have
I've got one other question.
So I was surprised, when he was building that, watching what he was doing. And to pave it, he basically put down the recycled asphalt.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
It is, that's what it is. And that stuff, I guess, I was just surprised he was, obviously, you guys didn't allow him to do that. But that stuff is full of all sorts of chemicals and oil. And so if he's done that and it's not been sealed in, then that could easily be leaching out and getting out into the ditch. So I don't know if anybody gave any thought to that, but I mean, that's a pretty common practice for people to do that. Your neighbor down there, Jim, JB did that with me.
Doesn't he still have it just piled up out there?
Well, I think he had too much,
Oh, okay.
but he did that whole drive.
Yeah.
But then he sealed on top of it.
Yeah, if you can feel it. Well, and to Steve's point, with these dump trucks, they have a garage, a service garage in there, and they got oil and crap leaking everywhere. So on top of that, and Mike's aware of that.
That might be Might be something we can get
We got an EPA
somebody else involved with,
supervisor,
yeah,
so-
EPA.
Yeah, because they're in there working and then you notice, I mean, I'm not skulking them, but when I go back and forth and stuff, you'll notice in the middle of the day, usually they're all gone, they're out running. But sometimes in the middle of the day, there'll be one or two parked up to that garage where they're working on something broke or something like that. And they just got stuff laying everywhere when they're working on this stuff. I was just curious about the groundwater issue.
We're not inviting EPA to our own township. But you might mention that they might want to invite EPA to get that talking again, but let's, yeah.
But I'll call Corey tomorrow and talk to him about that, let him know. He
Oh,
wants
yeah,
any of that information he can use.
Yeah, they're just making a worse site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know he doesn't want to leave it, because when we had that initial meeting, he was telling me he's probably got about, we bought that property and then put about another 50 to 80 grand in it. Making the building usable for work on trucks. Trucks, gravel he was putting down there. And I guess he had some, as always around here, he had some drainage issues. He had to basically, get some drainage.
If you go on Google Earth, what was it, last September was the last picture, there's 12 trucks parked there on Google Earth. Okay, thank you.
Looking forward to 12 trucks.
Thank you for the yeah.
Jim, anything from the planning committee?
Well, I was thinking today when I was going to talk about this, all of a sudden, we have 3 members from the planning committee sitting right here. I mean, gosh, guys. We got the inside.
You're just fortunate.
We got the majority. We've got them all here. I mean, I sent Holly a message last week. She was out on medical. That we were just rocking it. We were just rocking it. We've got these committees all doing different things. And we've got meetings coming up. I thought that, I don't know who all did the communications letter that I got.
Molly did it.
Did Molly do it?
Yeah, she did a great job.
Oh my gosh, I read that.
It's crazy how well that came out.
Yeah, I mean, our communications departments are doing great. Our utility departments are doing great. We're trying to track down water, sewer, electric, all that type of thing. Now we're all getting down to nitty gritty. We had discussions today with Tom and questions that we're working up for these meetings. And I don't want to be the county officials because everybody's got a long list of questions when we go in there. And so developers, builders, Mike and I have had talks with them and another one today. Well, actually, you had 2 today. And so that's not slowing down any. And
More inquiries on the trailer park.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Friday was planned referendum day, right? Last Friday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We cleared the second overlay
Yeah.
referendum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, and the third one's to the zoning commission now. Yeah. And yeah.
That
So
developers look at the one that's not even been through the trustees yet on the website. So
Mhm.
they're definitely,
Well, that must have all kinds of eyes.
yeah.
it does. It just and the problem, that's part of the problem that I was talking with Tom and Bruce about is there's some little things you might be able to do for them before the big stuff starts. And we got to get to the Delaware to the utilities. And I actually called the health department today to get a meeting with them and an opinion. And I completely blew their mind when I was talking commercial. And industrial. Oh, I'll have her call you back. And I said, okay. She got no inspection. I said, are we talking about the person that can help me? If she's out doing
The gal that does the septic.
well, but we went commercial.
Yeah, well,
I know.
they may need to hire some.
Yeah, or But I don't know, this is our first inroad into the health department, this is our first call to the health department. So, exciting, I guess, and I'm going, oh, okay, well, I hope she calls me back in the morning, but, cause she was out doing inspection.
So, but my question is, we know sewer was coming,
Mhm.
couple years, but I think this one here is quicker than the real county line, is there any timeline on that, or any issues?
Well, first off, let me clarify, and again, Mr. Ken and I talked about it. There's a realtor that put an ad in on a piece of property on Zillow, and it says that there's sewer next door. There's not sewer next door. What he's showing the construction of is the gas line. So they got all this equipment and stuff sitting out there, and he said, oh, they're building sewer.
Sewer, gas line.
Yeah.
That's why county line closed down gas line.
That's what they're doing, is the gas line.
I had no idea, you'd think like having boulder, you'd be.
Yeah, well, they got a hole. He got a hole in the ground, and so they had one of those little narrow, they had a narrow thing that goes in the ground and keeps it from collapsing. Well, you know, on sewers, they do the big wide ones. Well, for that gas line, they had a little narrow one, and I'm looking at the pictures and I'm going, oh, no, that's not it, you know. But the wife and I were out there and saw them anyway, so if you guys hear any rumors or something, there's no sewer being built yet. In time, because we know, the developers on that side of the county, in other words, County Line Road, you got Delaware, you got
Licking County.
Licking County, the ones on the Licking County side, they need that sewer to come up through there. We also have people annexing to Johnstown, 280 some acres is annexed to Johnstown. Yeah, for the sole purpose of getting the water and sewer. Because they can't come up anything. Mhm. Yeah, so, and that was the New Albany company, so you would say, well, why wouldn't they use their sewer that's coming up? Well, they can't get it, and it's all used up. So now they're coming out of Johnstown. So, yeah, it's a battle for resources.
I actually did have another developer call today and talked about that property down there that you were just talking about. And he was sitting there talking to me about it, and we were discussing the fact that it says there's sewer right there. No, that's not.
Yeah, I think, who did we decide was gonna call that realtor?
We didn't decide, but
Well, we didn't decide, one of us needs to call him, tell him that he's wrong.
yeah,
Because you're gonna get more of that, because all of a sudden, word's gonna go out. Bingo, you got sewer on Fancher Road. No, we don't. But it's gonna come from three ways, and then whenever, as we all know, whenever, Galena crosses the creek, then you're gonna have sewer coming from that way too. So, but anyway, everybody hit it hot and heavy last week, and everybody's got their plates full. Yeah, we're just hammering on it, and I think when Holly gets to each committee and helps everybody, and that email that went out was just superb. That was just superb. And so anyway, if we have any questions, that's what we're doing. I encourage everybody to watch us on Zoom if you can't come to the meeting. See what's going on. Could be a subdivision meeting.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow night. We're going to record it, so we see it later on. We can do that. Yeah, there's being recorded, they come back onto the website somewhere.
Well, there's, Kendra is trying to get to that point, and she and Molly are working together. They're recorded, and they pull them off the computer, so there's a file. Right now, probably your best bet would be to come in the office and have Kendra put it on a thumb drive for you and watch it on a thumb drive.
What was on YouTube?
Well, they're
Was that
moving, I'm not sure they're putting the strategic planning meetings on. the-
Okay, but it was what, trustees or something?
But I mean, that's I think they're just still trying to get caught up.
Okay, I thought somebody was on YouTube.
But you can definitely get, something, if you wanna see it.
And our minutes will start getting caught up too. And what I do, guys, if you get curious or something, is I'll go to other township or city hall minutes. And I'll look and see what they're doing. And then when you see something that looks like it might be interesting or pertaining to something we're interested in, then I zero in on that. That way you don't have to watch all their stuff. You just pick the date and the meeting that was done. And I try to pick, or you see the heading and you find that minute. The minute's just on that. It might only be a paragraph or two, but there could be a ton of information.
Okay, fine. Just wanted to try to get some kind of idea. Stuff like that. Do we have anybody on one?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before we go, before we go on, we're still minus a alternate. So if we can start getting the word out. And also I noticed on the procedure, it says Steve Campbell and Vice Chairman Roger Nybarger. Have I been exiled?
You've been ousted.
This is, old information.
Okay,
I just, picked up the stuff I had.
that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, we do, probably talk with, Mike and see what we can do, because the zoning commission also has no alternate. So every time I see somebody that I want to ask, they say, don't ask him, we want to ask him. I know. So everybody's vying for bodies right now. But yeah, we will probably, with winter coming and vacations and that kind of stuff, need somebody. Okay, thank you, sir.
This is something we had written up on Roger did all this. And I thought we just kind of make sure we're doing things right. So, and I think maybe some of our procedures need to be updated. And so, anyways, when the application's received, we should collect the fee for the time of acceptance of the applicant. So that, then we, then we go down to the next line and we add the application number. And make sure there's copies of it. I think it says 10, I thought, the website say 9 or 10 copies,
Sorry to read your thing.
for our application.
This is 11.
Of the zoning commission says it's 13.
Well, that's because they have 3 going to the, trustees.
So it's gonna be 10.
Yeah.
So 10. So I think the other ones we had were like 9, 8. We need to make sure we get the latest stuff to everybody, so. So we need that fund application and make sure we get 10 copies. So one, then I might normally pick mark one of them as the original, so then we can file. After hearing set, and the notice of the place in the Delaware Gazette, news 10 days prior to hearing. DG, that's coming on your job now?
Yeah, that's correct. And also, the Delaware Gazette actually no longer publishes daily, so this is gonna have to be changed. So,
Yeah, so this is at least 10 days is the minimum.
mhm.
It can be more than that.
It can be absolutely more than that, yeah.
So, and that's just written in the state statute.
Mhm.
So that's why it says 10 days. So
Yeah.
we just, I know people don't daily, it has,
Mhm.
it may be 14 days or
Yeah,
20 days
so-
or whatever. We did find out, if we're doing something Saturday, you verify that or not?
Yeah, they publish
On Wednesday and Saturday?
Wednesdays and Saturdays. So that's still plenty of time.
Are they online 5, 6 days a week?
I'm not sure. I would have to check about that.
If they want, would that count as published or is that in print?
It has to be in print. In the paper, the distribution, and this is the problem we get into about.
What do you do when the Delaware Gazette goes? Yeah, who gets the newspaper?
Yeah, if you get to the paper.
Well, and then the other ones are, if it doesn't count, is you can do a subscription to Delaware Gazette online. But does that count?
Yeah.
But I'm
I mean,
saying,
that counts the first one reading it, doesn't.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is if we're not doing their online.
But they only actually publish even online on Wednesday and Saturday.
Oh, okay. So they're not daily
They're
online.
not putting,
Okay.
the public notices online daily,
Okay,
even in the print or online.
okay.
Okay. So this stuff needs to be probably looked at, so I just wanted to see what the people we have in place and what we may need to update or change. The court reporter part, we're not using that. If we're certain that it's gonna be something potential. So I would normally say if we start a hearing, we find out there's 30 people out there and everyone can speak and whatever, we may just end up recessing the time certain and bring the court reporter in.
Oh, okay.
We'll get all the stuff on.
Yeah.
We still have the Zoom stuff, which is good. But if I see something that's really big, really happening.
Contentious.
And the other thing we had, like recently, is some pre-op things. And the last time I remember coming for it. Most of the stuff we're doing is variances for, setbacks and whatever, and that's usually not too contentious. Now, conditional use could be one that we get,
Yeah.
pretty much what the use is and where it's located and all that. So, that's usually up to the chairperson to decide what to do with that, so that we do have an option to use according to the regulation. Notifying the surrounding property owners, and we have 200 feet, right?
Yep.
Here,
I think there's one in the handbook.
so ours, I think the land commission is going right.
Adjacent, no, they use the 200-foot buffer.
They use the 200 foot too?
Yeah.
I mean, it actually do something, so. But I think because of the state when it's in the statute, that's what it is. The good thing about that is now versus way back when, because you could, after this, you had to go down to the courthouse to this map and get the map of this area in the township, bring it back home, and then have all the property owners' names on there, and you have to get out and move a ruler and see what 200 feet was. Now you go to GIS, then you get buffer 200 feet, and that's printed out for you. And that's it, right? The things have changed much.
So with respect to the, this is using the, I guess, certified mail or whatever with the green return receipt.
Yeah,
Are they doing that or
No,
not?
we-
Because obviously zoning's not.
we're not
because
anymore either, we used to, and that's the additional.
the last 2 sentences. Because we had with zoning, there was complaint at the last zoning meeting about how mortgage companies were getting these letters.
There's something on record.
I understand that, but we have no clue then that they didn't really get delivered. Right?
Right. The only
Because
way,
other than a mortgage, or if it went to the mortgage company, we'd get a ticket, but it wouldn't matter because the people on that address didn't get it.
yeah, I mean, those companies are probably just throwing them in the trash, but they don't afford that.
Right.
Yeah, so it's, that's something we need to, maybe we can talk, Corey, what we should legally do.
From a certified delivery,
What,
but a certification.
what's the best thing that they think we should do? we need to go back and certify now, or do we need to try to do the best we can? I don't know. I mean, normally, when you go into the other, on the other website, the homeowner's name's on there and the address of that property. So that should go to the mortgage company. Now, if you look it up other ways, and the taxes probably go to the mortgage company. Most people, I think, the taxes do, you gotta run.
Doesn't say it's supposed to go to the taxpayer. Isn't that why they sent it to the mortgage company?
I don't think it's supposed to go to the ownership of the property.
According to the zoning commission, the reason they send it to the mortgage company, it goes to the taxpayer. That's why they're doing that.
I don't know that anybody think it has to be taxpayer, because that's what the money,
Well, we ought to know the answer to that.
yeah, maybe check it for you. And somebody talk to you.
It ought to be consistent between the committees, I would think. The commission. Of some zoning.
However, weren't they trying to track, use the actual address instead of?
Well, Joni, at that meeting the other night, said, look, if she catches that, you know, she sees all there is mortgage companies on the application, she goes back to the GIS, and if she finds a secondary name on there, she then adds that with their address, and she does the legwork.
They probably, they have, especially with zoning commission is vacant land, you know, but nothing, if it has an house written on it. A lot of times,
Where do you know?
yeah, it's not a, there's no physical address. to the
Right,
property.
they, yeah, you're right.
And that's where the David fight more, have more issues than we do. You learn all this, right?
Yeah, but the owner would have a mailing address on record if it was a vacant property, there was no mail service. Yeah.
You can get it, I mean,
Yeah, it takes some time, it takes a little more digging to find it.
But in the end, the onus is on the applicant to provide.
What we need to do when we get an application, we need to verify that stuff a lot more closely than we have been. So to make sure that,
At least peruse it and make sure it doesn't say the bank or something, you know.
you know, just make sure that it looks all legitimate, the physical address, not the physical name. So,
well, I think like, just like what Steve was saying, it's important to get Corey's input on, it, find out what we need to be doing legally. And that's really what we should do.
Yeah.
Whether we should go over and above and create more work, I don't know. It's probably, he's probably gonna say, just do what legally it says to do. Or you're gonna get yourself into a great zone.
Yeah, maybe a county, townships for county, you don't need to copy somebody. Doing
Doesn't mean they're gonna, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Somebody probably.
Yeah, one of them is probably doing it, right?
so I think we need to update our procedures with, so we need to, kind of work on some of that stuff. And then, making sure one has a copy, so if I'm not here and the site takes
Right.
do the hearing, whatever, when we know what steps we need to follow. The next page I kind of looking at.
Is there a procedure, but we have a procedure?
Huh?
Do
Well, see, I-
vote on ourselves, or do we have to trust you?
We do the update, then we had to update the. So I think this sheet here is probably 10 years old or more. Usually use this, but, this one here, I didn't know, I found this, I didn't know I had it.
No, yeah, that one needs to be cleaned up.
We need to clean it up, so we need to get, and I'll try to work on that, and then we can bring it back to another meeting, but we'll kind of,
This is on the website, so,
this one here,
yeah, that's our procedure.
one like,
One like
this one here is on the website.
Don't we have a cheat sheet on that on our, in our book? On what to check for?
Not in this book. But it's on the website, with the application. Is that, there's procedures also application on the website?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a big zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a cheat sheet in there. I call it cheat sheet, but it gives you a list of what to look for. zoning appeals checklist. Okay, this one's for variance. And then,
Looks like this.
well, then it has checklist for variances. Sure.
It's the same thing I just did.
Are they both the same?
Looks like it.
This is just Park Township. I hold this off the web.
And then we have conditional use. There's 4 of them on here. If you'd like to see them, sir. Somebody gave them to me because I had them in the folder.
Yeah, this is exactly what I did. And I had two, I looked at this before, I don't even talk about it. That's exactly what I like.
Okay.
The reason why I didn't bring it all is because the back page is the zoning commission checklist for the version, so not the zoning commission. And here's the, the other one says for a use variance, and I don't know, I can't get that use variance. I don't think
That would just be a variance, yeah.
yeah, I use variance. We've had that discussion.
Yeah, we had that. If it says, if it's in there, then we can do a variance.
It's there, but they have to have a substantial hardship,
Right.
and a substantial hardship is defined as, you know,
Right. Okay,
and so that was,
so then what we need to
that was
do,
something that the discussing people, I was talking about maybe even getting use variance, I said, hey, don't try.
yeah, so,
They're creating no hardship, it's not hardship because.
right, that was already there. So what we're saying is we need to clean this up and then ask the trustees to approve it, is that what we're going? Okay.
Yeah, we're just kind of discussing some of what you think relevant, not relevant, what needs to be changed, and I'll kind of redo it and bring it back and we can
Okay.
edit some more. So, going back to the next thing, to check this for the area variance, and I think what we need, this is kind of like what we should be doing. Is when you get an application needed, look in the book and see what part of the resolution that applies to that. And we need to make sure that we're applying for the right part in the resolution. And then we need to get standards for granting a variance, which is practical difficulties. Now, practical difficulties is different with substantial difficulties. Practical difficulties is kind of like a lesser thing. The practical difficulty is because the septic system's over here, or the, you know, the 100-year oak tree is here, I can't put my garage in, put it over here, you know, so I'm not having to put 2 feet on the 15 feet or something like that, you know. So it's kind of things that, or, you know, there's a deep swell in the property, and I can't go here, so you go over here, you know, just things like that. It's not just the owner calls the problem, the difficulty is there with what's already there. So then that comes next, we need to consider the 7 month substance factors, and that's kind of written into the hiring by.
Right.
And so it's whether there's, you know, can you give a reasonable return without the variance?
That's what we went through.
The variance,
Last one.
yeah, the variance substantial, you know, don't change the essential character of the neighborhood, it's gonna become residential, put them residential, it's not like, you know, they're putting an outbuilding up, an outbuilding on, you know, 3 acres or 5 acres or whatever, is not unusual, but, you know, not like that. Adversely affect governmental services, you know, water and sewer like that. Lucky to have that out here. More water than the sewer. You know, garbage, and I think governmental services, my big biggest thing on that is the fire safety, make sure the fire trucks get in that, you know. So if you get it, make sure that the governmental services, if they get the fire, they can go for you. Garbage trucks don't get that, you know. Most garbage trucks pick them up on the street, for many places, and not make people come back from property. whether the property owner purchased the property to knowledge of the zoning restriction. And I think, you know,
I think that's a big one.
it's a big one because most people buy property, had no idea what zoning is all about. It's what the property is zoning about, all they trust the realtor says, hey, it's the house, but like, it's residential, I can buy it and live in it, you know. That's what
But
the problem.
that is a lot of realtors. Think they know or don't know and tell the wrong thing too.
Yeah, they give them the wrong information, they don't know either. You know, so that's a big one, so, you know, but it's something like, I think, when like, owner makes sure did you know this property was owned this way when you purchased it, you know, ask that question,
That's a big one.
you know.
That'd be tough. Well, you just go, if it's, yeah, that's a good one, Kyle.
What's that?
So if the zoning says one thing that we're talking about, the person purchases the property. Then they go to Mike, and Mike says, you know, whether they knew it or not, is ignorance of the law, no excuse.
That's
what we're getting at.
They're not gonna say, because you didn't know the ceiling was 35, you thought it was 45.
So that's what we're supposed to say,
Yeah,
is if it was FR1 and they thought it was AR1, that's not our problem. Is that what you're saying?
well, but I think
That's not our fault.
what you're gonna find out is they don't want FR1 and AR1 even be. They never heard the term before, what? What are you talking about?
responsibility.
It is.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at is that, okay,
It's not our responsibility, but
no,
I think.
because you know, they always throw it back at us.
And I don't think there's been a person I've talked to about anything they want to do through zoning that even knows what their zoning classification means.
No,
I would say you could be on this board, you could purposely read it and still not really understand what the zoning is, property, you might be like that.
Pretty much.
or you get some of those old ones. And get some of those old ones that we talked about. Did you buy one? Yeah. That's what I did. Okay. You have to refuse yourself. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Fortune loan. We were in. So we're really gonna give him a hard time.
Like I say, you could,
That's a tough one.
you could,
Yeah.
look at it, you could read it, you could know you know, what zones you're in, but
Yeah, the older ones, well, it's just like the, church fathers. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what, you know. They didn't understand that until they come in and want to do something. And all of a sudden, whoa, they're involved.
Okay.
Okay, good one, good.
That's the big thing we're gonna do probably. Okay, whether the owner's predicament feature can be alleviated through a method other than the variance. Sometimes it can be, and actually, like, the person comes in and asks for variance, they want to do this. Well, if you move it over here, you might not need a variance, you know, so. Yeah. So that's, but, you know, just because they want it here, doesn't mean it has to be. Whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. That's like. That's a kind of side thing, I mean, you know, it's opinion, and their opinion when you get.
So I have one that I need an opinion on, since it's been around. So twice now, we've seen properties that are very, very close to the road. And what I worry about is children. I mean, so can we grant a variance to get them further away from the road?
So, let's give other example. Say, the front setback is 90 feet. The house is 40 feet, 45 feet.
Well, we had words, but, you know.
And so they just wanna move it back 20 feet, and that makes it 60 feet instead of 90 feet. I think anytime you're making an improvement, you can do that. So you can give a variance, but you can't meet 90 feet. Very well, but you could probably meet the 60 feet. I think that's doable,
Okay.
especially on old established, a lot of the established before zoning came in.
Right. So,
Well,
well,
they wanna split a lot and make this,
Oh.
then that's it, then they're facing a hardship. But this lot existed before 1988. And then, you know, then
what we saw
we have
was-
our own leeway.
so what we saw was the old schoolhouse church or whatever that thing was, that's falling down on Harlem Road. They were like 15 foot off of Harlem Road. Back in Buggy and carriage days, kind of thing. So people were asking about variances and we're saying you have to stay on that footprint. Are we allowed to let them move that footprint to get them off the road?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do.
We're ready for, I just recently reread some of that, and some of the wording in there is, you can do some of that movement. Maintain the spirit of the.
The thing is, if you're trying to come closer to complying, then you may not be able to comply because of the change in the size of the lot. And that lot had issues with probably back in the 1900s, or 1800s, stuff, whatever. So, you know, I'm saying that you gotta look at what you're doing with. Now,
I think it would be.
now, if you wanna divide off of your
No,
10 acres and make a lot like that,
No.
no, that ain't gonna happen.
no, I'm talking about these old structures
Right.
that are sitting on top of the road, or the footprint that's sitting on top of the road, because the structure's not there anymore. And the general consensus is, well, you can build on that footprint. Well, but then when you look at it, and they're 15 foot off the road, you're saying, why can't we let them move, even though it's not gonna be in compliance, just to get their yard out of the road? And I think if we all have an understanding that that's something we can look at, I feel better. Yeah, about that, because really, when they kept coming in on that Harlem Road property, and it was still up, you know, the front of it was still up. And you drive by and you look at that, you said, how can we let them build a house on that footprint that close to Harlem Road? I mean, it was bad.
So invert that thinking now. So if it was really bad and we're not happy with that, but if they wanted to build again on that same footprint,
Yeah, you can't stop
you
them.
can't stop them,
No,
right?
no, but if they come in and say, what can I do? Or they want to get away from it or whatever, try to give some leniency.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I think the only thing that might goof that up on Harlem, that one wouldn't, but is if somebody was manipulating where they were gonna site a house, and it then became some kind of an issue for one of their neighbors. From sight lines or, you know, blocking views and so
Well,
forth,
it's touchy.
then you gotta hear what the neighbors have to say.
Yeah, it's touchy, but there again, part of like what Kyle was reading is for the good of the neighborhood. And for good, you know, for the, you know, good of the property and the neighborhood. I just, that twice now has concerned me because of the yard to the children. And when they don't have a lot of backyard and they don't have a lot of side yard on these little lots, you're going, oh my God, you just can't come in out the front door and you're right on the road, you know? So anyway, it's a good thought, and that helps my feeling on, you know, moving forward and when we get these, because when I first got on this, everybody said, oh, by God, you gotta be on that footprint, you gotta be on that footprint, and I'm going, man, you know, that's nasty, you know, it's just nasty.
The worst one we had is one that just, I call downtown Harlem right there.
Right, on that part there, yeah.
Crossroad right there. And that guy trying to remodel that and blast, I think, and so he, and it was just too close to road, you know, we can't, you know, and basically what the zoning says, is if it's destroyed after so much days, then you have to come up with why this is in zoning, well, there's no way for it. But, and so we need some, you know, if you just get it back on the foundation and go up higher, you know,
Mhm.
and it cannot hide, really, it's not.
Yeah, it came off, but he had to put a big fence up, and he's still sitting on Harlem Road. I mean, here's.
But there's no land.
Well, that's, yeah, I know, that was a really bad one. But yeah, going forward, as these start to come up and we're trying to do Harlem Township a little bit.
You know, and so my concern would be is ultimately they want to start widening roads and it becomes. All they want to make that widening road makes all these lots, houses non-conforming, because once they were 90 feet, now they're only, 85 feet or 80 feet or whatever.
So it's from center line. So that doesn't change if they widen the road, as long as the center line stays where it was.
And one thing Columbus did in the old neighborhood, is we went in and we did some of them. So what would happen, let's say you had a house that set up front, yeah, let's say 25 feet off the road. And then the requirement was 50 feet off the road, but you had another house that was at 40. What they would do is split the difference. So that, trying to get these houses back in line a little bit, Columbus would split the difference on these little lots in these old neighborhoods. So, that's something to look at too, rather than trying to shove somebody all the way back when there's another one still sitting there. Anyway, okay, I feel better.
Okay. Whether the spirit or intent behind the zoning requirement will be observed and substantial justice by granting the variance and any other relevant fact. The board makes final findings on facts and conclusions. This is the thing we need to do. We need to mark it to the finance sheet and then those which we all accept those with the original application. Written back with conclusion and evidence submitted to the board. We need to make sure that anytime we get anything from the applicant or whatever, that we give it a number and it goes into the file, it's a permanent file. I mean, those to approve or deny application. So I think, these aren't too bad right here. And we just need to see some of these language that make it for our township. Conditional use permit, our most common conditional use permit is in-home occupation. And it seems to be, that's getting bigger. Because a lot of people want to work from home, have a new thing, so. So again, you identify the right section of the zoning resolution, identify the standards for granting conditional use, and consider any factors that are set forth in zoning resolution. Most conditional uses should have the conditions in the zoning resolution, and our zoning resolution lacks some of that stuff on some of these conditional uses. And we can't do anything about that. That's the zoning commission has to change that. The zoning commission looks at it like right now.
No, it'll be on. For the next
So,
few years.
So I can't see that changing drastically in the near future, even though we may need to look at that. That was a year ago, so we started doing sign stuff because I know they can't do signs.
No.
And that section is updated.
Right.
So the modern technology of science has changed versus what our zoning regulation says. And so those stuff will never be done. Never be done. Oh, anyway. So again, same thing, just use permit, then, any conditions set forth in the zoning resolution, and we need to mark our exhibit for that and make a final formal conclusion. As I say, our biggest one is home occupation, and then with that, we have a home occupation checklist that we kind of go through. Hours of business, lighting, parking, how many employees.
So it's almost like that expanded home occupation.
Yeah. any of that is a conditional use.
Right, okay, okay.
So, I think it's standard on going on 5 acres plus, right?
Usually that's the case, but we've got some that aren't.
Yeah,
But it's different for air and Oklahoma.
I think so.
Number of people. in this room
I
I
think
think it's still two.
you can have it. But I think it's a little more restricted in the left right.
But I know our deliveries per day and all that stuff's wrong. My wife gets more than that.
Truck every day.
Yeah, every truck, every day,
Every carrier.
every carrier, and then some.
I mean, the regular resident would be more than 30 acres.
That's what I'm saying, we're not even a business and she's getting all this stuff. You know, which is, then she discovered Amazon, 4-hour delivery. So now they got regular Amazon and then they actually come out in cars, today they get on in a car.
Yeah, they subcontract like that.
Yeah, they subcontracted, so she found some stuff that she needed and I need this and 4 hours, okay, well, same price. Yeah, but yeah, so you got all this traffic, you know, and that's just normal.
Yeah.
So then if you have a business and you're getting parts or, you know, stuff in,
Well, I'm just paging through the current home occupation.
Right.
Submittal application. It still looks like, I mean, because I went through this a couple of years ago to be able to build state, taking my daughter's one, and my wife, and, so as I look at this, I can't see anything that's changed as far as the requirement. And so when we have a sheet like this, then, you know, either of these are kind of our internal cheat sheets for the BZA or such, because they're not
Well, that's-
necessarily online.
Right,
For anybody
we
to
need
see.
that, we need something, so when we get an application, we can make sure we check on it.
Right.
We don't, there's something,
Is there any reason though, if we got these to a point that they're cleaned up and we're happy with them, that we wouldn't put them online just so people could see, you know, what we're gonna look at?
I think that's a great call. I mean,
Yeah,
The
okay,
zoning
that makes it
commission does
easier.
that with theirs,
Yeah,
they're behind right now. Yeah, it makes it much more clear for the resident.
yeah, I have no problem, I mean,
Yeah.
anything.
because
Public record, everything is public record, so it don't matter,
Right.
you know.
Right.
it's the same.
So instead of Mike having to physically give them one, you just say, look at page so-and-so and we'll do everything there.
And guide them to the website.
Yeah.
Do a lot now.
yeah, because I'm sorry to back this up, but I went back and looked at the application for, the variance. Because that's what this is, right? That we were talking about. And, I mean, it's all in there. You know, 200 foot, I mean, so I guess the question is, if it's in there as to what's required and whatever's to be delivered and the number of copies, do we even need this document other than to clean up this wording around notification of the adjacent landowners? Because that's our job, right? Once the guy provides us the list.
Yeah,
And you see,
then we execute.
the problem we've had in the past is the application comes.
Right.
And if the landowners are missing or something's wrong or whatever, and so then if an incomplete application, we can't accept it. So then it can install the whole thing in another 30 days. So we gotta get it corrected. Now, we've had in the past, made exceptions like, we'll bring the information within the next time to hearing, so it gets, you know, so that it should be, so it can be, you know, some of the stuff isn't, it's not in the official notice, you know what I'm saying? You know, all the different layouts, right now, that's not in the official notice.
Well, yeah, if you don't have your tablet, what I like is I go to that site and I print off my cheat sheet, so when they hand it to me, I'm checking off that they've got the items that we need. Whereas modern day way of doing it would be Steve sitting there and he's checking it off also, but he's using a tablet, so either way works. As long as we have some way of checking off that the proper materials came in.
And it's consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure we keep the application totally complete. all the. I did not do so.
Well,
I guess they,
I'm thinking this procedures page that we started out on. This is the one that needs, some serious looking at.
this is really isn't anything, this is, we had, I got this offline, this isn't actually Harlan Township. But
Yeah, but I mean,
It's, it's,
okay,
it's the guidelines and.
what you're saying is, this is what we would check off when somebody comes in. And so it might as well be Harlem Township, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there is one, well, there's some.
But then I say, I think we need to make that.
But yeah, if we have one that
We make
everybody has to
it's
say,
updated and relative to what we're doing nowadays, have the trustees put them in the online.
yeah, put it online. One member can print it off, one member can check it off while he's watching on his tablet, and everybody's reading off the same thing.
This we gotta check, we have a form here, when something, we're following our online procedure. And we can put that even in the file, right, we've done A, we've done B, other information, they exhibit.
So, but I just,
Put that right in the file.
Yeah, we got, having read through the conditional use, benefit conditional, and the home occupation. It leads you right through what you've got to do. I mean, well, it leads through pretty well. I got it done, and I got it accepted by you.
Well, we got a lot of people that leave stuff out. Right. Yeah, and that's where we need to check it off.
But then if you read these two checklists, is all I'm saying, against what's in here, I think they're clean. I think you're good. So I don't think these two really need any further work. The only question is, do we want to just put them out there as saying, and when your day in court comes to see the BZA, here's the checklist that they'll be looking at.
Well, that's what the zoning commission does. They give the checklist out there and says, this will get you through it, as long as everything's on there.
Right.
And they've even got something at the bottom that says, these are some common errors that will get your application rejected too.
But I know, well, for instance, the woodworker guy, but he didn't get done before he got sick because he was missing stuff. As we started to go down the list, and that's a big problem that we have. On this board is people bringing in missing stuff. Keith let the guy with the dog bring the measurements back at the regular hearing, but they were missing some measurements. And, that's the type of thing we gotta catch.
it's, that's usually the biggest thing is the scale drawing doesn't have all the setbacks. You got right. That's the biggest thing we get. Missed when it comes to application. Back in the day. What's that now? We had a review committee when the person was, when the commission was done inspecting the case. And after we bring the stuff in, and we sit down at a meeting, and we make sure his application is complete. Well, then we decided that legally that was. To give the person that, the feeling that they've got reviewed and they think it's done.
Oh, they're false security.
Yeah, and so, our legal people decided that was not. It was working because when the application came to us, it was filled out right because it had been reviewed. So.
But somebody can still come in and see Mike.
He can do that.
And now that we have, someone of such high quality sitting in this role and working full time, I mean, that's part of the other
Oh,
problem.
that's the big thing.
When I was trying to do the stable thing, I couldn't even find, who to talk to.
Yeah.
Because they were part-time and the guy was in the service or in the National Guard.
National Guard.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah,
So,
this is the thing too, like you say, because now we have an office, with office hours, a person
And-
sitting there.
He has an administrative assistant, but
Yeah.
But here's the question on that though, okay, so it's just like the same thing that came up on the zoning commission the other night. They come in, we go through the checklist. We can go through the checklist and say, okay, do you have map? Yes. Okay, these are all the requirements on the map, did you have the map? Yes. We still don't put the checklist. But the zoning commission will sit there and tell you, and maybe it's the same way with you guys, that I'm not supposed to dig into it and look at all your stuff. Because, well, number one, that's something you gotta do. And number two, just like you were bringing up there, it's gonna give somebody false hope.
Yeah, because
That
they say, well, the zoning inspector is okay for the zone.
Yes,
Right.
so I can go through and I tell them, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I
make
just-
sure you
I
feel,
guess,
you
you
feel
know,
good with that,
you-
that's this, so it's not even gonna be like it's gonna come through me.
No, no,
Clean.
and we don't want it to.
Yes,
But I think it's a service to provide someone,
it is exactly,
particularly with the demographics and the experience that, you know, our township has. It goes from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yep.
To be able to, I call it coaching.
Mhm.
So if you want some, you know, coaching from our inspector to be on the right path.
I think to do similar like I did with Rockville. I mean,
Yeah.
I had this, you know, my first disclaimer was, listen, my opinion, this will not, nothing to do with the commission, it has nothing to do with the BZA, it has nothing to do with the zoning office, which is, I'm here to answer any of your questions. You know, and that, if I kind of get that disclaimer, this is not legally
Yeah.
binding, this is not nothing, I mean, you have some questions, I'm going to answer.
You know, not to make it look too lawyer-like, but you're gonna be doing more and more of this.
oh, yeah,
I almost think you might wanna consider having a piece of paper to hand them. That sort of just says, you know,
This is
what Keith said.
This is your disclaimer.
We're sitting here today and we're going through this stuff.
This is
But
not.
I just want you to know that, you know, here's kind of what my role in this is. So that you don't get a he said, she said thing coming back around, because then it just makes it,
well, that's a good point, maybe I should bounce that off of Corey and say, Corey,
yeah.
what do you think of this? Because, I mean, I do, when we do go through stuff, I sit there and tell them that, you're gonna go take all this, you're gonna go to BZA. What they do with it
Yeah.
is a whole other story, 'cause I
But
do
they
explain
want,
to
and
them.
they
I-
press you, and they press you.
Yeah, they keep, you know, when they
What-
go
what
and
do
do
you
it, they
think?
say,
Is
well,
this gonna pass?
does this look like I got everything? And I tell them, it looks like it's got everything, but I said, but when you go to them, I said, I cannot, and by law, and I don't want to control them. They are their own entity, and I said, what they do could be totally different than what I.
And I think, given what's going on in this township, it's gonna ratchet up, and we're gonna have more sophisticated people kind of coming in to see you. I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would have that document. I would have two on the table when they come in. I'd have them sign one that they received, and you sign the other that you gave it to them, so that you've got a record.
Yeah.
That they were, you know, sort of got the preamble here, now let's talk, right?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Why can't Corey make those up and send it to you?
Well,
The legal.
I don't think, I haven't been able to get legally involved with it either.
What usually happens with Corey is he'll tell me to write it up and I'll send it to him, and he'll send it back and say, yeah, I think that looks good.
Okay, that's perfect,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, if we have a checklist, we'll look at when they come in that meets code. Then if we share that checklist, that, hey, this is a minimal thing. If
Right,
You don't have these things minimally, then your application's gonna get complete, and I want you to look at it, and
You
the money,
got
the money's in, and you're not worrying about 30 days.
We only take the money, but then,
Yeah,
Yeah, they won't.
we reject it as a whole.
So, yeah, that's basically the procedure right now, because I tell them, and it's written into the law, the resolution, you are urged to come in and see and go through it with me. You know, they don't make a requirement, because that'll make a big bottleneck, you know, eventually, like Steve's point about getting busy, but. Yeah, anybody that comes in, they can sit down with me, and I pull out the same checklist you guys with, what it says you need to have, okay? If they have any questions on what is that, and I'll explain it to them. But,
If we come in, I'd have a file folder, I would take that checklist, inside it, like that, and I would put things in the file, I'd mark it right off. Yeah, I just, good.
yeah,
Well, we got,
that's a good idea.
we got,
The checklist.
we got what I wanted, we got what I wanted, I got some feedback, I want to see this, how you felt about all this stuff, and I'll try to write something up for now. Next month.
But I like the, cause I just been printing stuff off to make sure I had something for when they came in that I would check. So if we're all on the same page, as we're checking off either electronically or physically, what the applicant has brought in, and maybe Bill would catch, hey, I don't think they have this, or somebody catches that, so then we ask them about.
Finally,
Yeah, that way everybody can look and make sure that our file is complete. And then we can actually get down to, you know, the business of
And that's what having the checklist online would be
Yeah.
a good thing, because that sort of stands the test of time. If somebody doesn't dig out one that was, oh, geez, I forgot this is one of my old ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's there,
it, but,
and
yeah.
then if there's gonna be a change, well, then we ought to change it online. So that it.
Well, and then they can look at it because I've been with Mike, you know, have you got this? Yeah, and they come in, it's usually in zoning. And they don't have half of what they need.
yeah, it's always a matter of how much substance does that checkpoint have.
Yeah,
You're looking at, it, you're going, that's, I guess that's the intent and purpose, but it's not what. it
right.
really
Okay,
is.
I've seen them tell him and tell him and tell him again, yeah, I got it, and then they don't have it.
so I didn't look at my calendar, so like, our next meeting,
Number 18.
finally go to the business, yeah.
There it is, number 18. Now, we gotta get done at reasonable hours that night, 'cause it's Brown School is there.
Oh.
So, if you don't want me walking out about, 8:30,
Wait a minute, can't you get it on your phone or your tab? Wait, you
Well, that would be productive.
Yeah.
Don't be watching.
You can have it on the
Girl, I'm
phone.
like, you guys be trying to talk to me and I'll be staring at the screen.
Boy, I see the meeting slowing down.
Yeah. You see the applicant going, huh?
Can we bring it here?
That could work. We can change our meeting location.
Oh, I'm sorry, I, will. For the 18th.
Yeah, okay.
We're getting ready.
If not, we can have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so adjourned at 8:40.
Good discussion.
I'm gonna need Steve's help. Here's your video and Mike, yeah, Terry, I am in the truck. I am.